Hey guys, welcome to a special online episode of the show which was inspired from a morning Facebook scroll, as you do. I saw a post from Dan Raphael, a great boxing writer out of the States, talking about the De La Hoya Vargas fight, September 14, 2002, and I remembered I had some footage from around that time, so I pulled it out and had a look through. I used to make a show traveling around by myself, and then I found it. Oh my god. September 14th, 2002, and one crazy day in LA, and it was part of a crazy trip. In fact, it was the first trip away filming. My mate Dale and I jumped on a plane to cover the first anniversary of September 11th, a moment that really changed the world. Images and moments we'll never forget, and for me personally, I lived in New York in 99 and 2000, so it was special for me. So I remember going into Flight Center, handing over the credit card, and then a week or so later jumping on a flight, and when we arrived in Sydney, the front page of the paper said there might be another terrorist attack when we're there, so we had no idea what to expect. We just jumped on a plane, and this is what happened. Okay, we're here in Bank Street, West Village in New York City. This is where I used to live, on the top floor of this building. Henry, who we're going to stay with tonight, lives on the second floor. Henry! Henry has since featured in all kinds of shows, both in Australia and the US, but back then he was just our very cool downstairs neighbour, and it was great fun to catch up with him again.
So this is the kind of stuff that they play in hip-hop clubs, and all the like real grassroots hip-hop stuff is crossing over.
So after a quick chill, we decided to go outside and grab something to eat, and our first interview just happened to walk by. How long have you been in New York for?
I am a New Yorker.
Yeah? Grew up here?
I'm a native New Yorker.
I grew up here.
What do you like about the city? What's your favourite thing about it?
Well, what I like about the city is everything. I mean, you can do everything in New York, you know. I'm an astrologist, you know, I read palms, I do tarot cards at times, you know. But your love line is what's bothering you. You've had numerous of short-term relationships. Okay. Oh my God, you had numerous of short-term relationships.
So it was a fun way to kick off our first night and the adventure, and then checking out some of the memorials which were everywhere around the city. Then hopefully a good night's sleep on Henry's couch before jumping up in the morning, heading to Times Square and seeing what was going to unfold.
I know him very much.
I've done 2 documentaries now in Japan. I've done like 35 different countries now. You can read it all at nakedcowboy.com. I'm the Naked Cowboy, coming to a town near you. Right back here. What you got? What's your name? How you spell?
All right. Mate, how long have you been had the dream of being here playing guitar in your underwear? How long has that been going on for?
Well, I've been a Naked Cowboy 4.5 years as far as actually being in my underwear, boots, and hat, which is, by the way, a registered trademark. I did 2.5 years of traveling around the country. I was arrested 49 times, which got me on like Inside Edition, Hard Copy, Entertainment Tonight, all the big shows, the big news cover shows. 2.5 years ago, I came here to Times Square. I was $40,000 in debt at that point from being arrested and everything else on credit cards, and basically traveling and staying in hotels, waiting for the big call for my Calvin Klein, Joe Boxer, Stetson hats, Dingo, someone like that, thinking that was just going to happen. Someone tried to put a $5 bill in my boot 2.5 years ago today. Now I make $1,000 a day. I have no debt. My mother has no debt. My girlfriend has no debt. And basically anybody who knows me, it's a friend of mine, has no debt. And, you know, I'm extremely wealthy now as a result of this. I have my own underwear lines called Naked. It's called Skid Marks, made by the Naked Cowboy. You can get them at nakedcowboy.com. Boot, hats, CDs, guitars. You can read my book, my comic strip. And now I'm doing appearances all over the world. Just got back from Germany. Paid me $1,000 a day just to walk through town because they knew all the cameras would catch me, and I would be talking about, at that point, the NFL football galaxy. And, of course, this month is 9/11 month. So, you know, I'm doing TV interviews, newspapers, and everything all over the world, and speaking about the unbelievable gift of unlimited freedom we have in the United States, and the ability we have to basically have a trademark, entrepreneurship, free enterprise, and be the baddest ass mug that ever walked the planet. And if you really want to live and feel the way I feel, you've got to whip out your balls of steel. Yeah. What else you got?
Yeah, the best interviews are when you don't even need to ask questions, but I soon found out that even though we were talking to people about September 11th, it was really their stories that were the most fascinating things, and very cool to be there in the city, especially on the anniversary.
Walk to work, that if I just look down 7th Avenue, that's where the towers used to be, right there. So it's just very, very somber today.
Yeah, you could feel the emotion in the city, that's for sure. Now, one of the interviews I had lined up was with Jeff Booth, the boss of the New York Post. He was running the Bulletin back home for a while. So to go there to the News Limited building, as we walked in on September 11th, Donald Trump was walking out. They had an anthrax scare in the building. It was crazy, but we got in there and filmed.
Look, I've had some pretty special opportunities over the last few years. Growing up on the Gold Coast and working at the Gold Coast Bulletin for over 20 years.
We were just saying before, I can't believe it, we went to the same school, which just blows me away.
A few years apart.
Yeah, a few years apart, yeah.
So it was great fun meeting Jeff and randomly finding out we went to the same school. A big hello to anyone that went to PBC on the Gold Coast. We were wandering around chatting to all kinds of people, and this was just crazy. Before I left, I read an article online about the actress Rosario Dawson growing up in a squatted building. So to be in the city, this concrete jungle, and walking around with my mate Anthony, I just happened to say, do you know where Rosario Dawson lives? And we stopped and he said, yeah, over there, literally the other side of the street. He said he knew her mum, so he yelled out. We ended up going in there and filming. Of course, Rosario has since become this huge actress, but it was great fun to find out about her story growing up.
But when we first moved in, there was nothing. There was a hole in the living room because a man had been murdered on the roof. And this was before we had taken over the building. And his body was brought down to the 4th floor and burned in what was then our living room. My daughter at the time was 6, I believe, or 7, and my son was 2 years of age. And we had no running water, no heat, no electricity, no windows, and no door. We had police barricade that went around the hole in the living room until we were able to get the plywood and be able to support the beams that had burned from the fire.
And how long was that there for?
A month.
Right. Wow.
1 month. With a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 2-year-old.
Yeah, a fascinating story and great to meet her. And I was kind of organising interviews from Henry's Place, and I got one with the legendary Jake LaMotta, a middleweight champion of the world back in the day, made famous from the movie Raging Bull and Robert De Niro playing him, but it wasn't an easy interview, that's for sure.
You asked my attitude, I was very happy. I didn't know, I thought everybody was like that. You know, I thought the whole world was like that. Yeah. I had a lot of fun when I was a kid. Starving, but we managed to grab food from the push cars, from the wagons, from the stuff like that. We managed to grab food to survive, but it was fun doing it.
There were so many fun moments, even filming interviews, and someone else would see what's going on and say, hey, can I be a part of it?
Want me to do one of my songs, man? Alright. I'll do one of my songs for you. She was holding me closely on a sunny day of October. I felt the heat of a whisper as her head fell upon my shoulder. And then she showed me what love means. Next thing I know, she's kissing me as the leaves are changing colors, and these feelings are made for lovers.
So it was a crazy few days in New York filming with all kinds of people and getting their recollections about September 11th. It was truly an awesome trip. But this is what this episode is about. Flying from New York to LA and one crazy day in LA where we checked into our backpackers and this happened.
Green and purple. It's now 1 a.m. Trash. Now we're in pink and purple. Welcome to our penthouse. It's time for Betty Boys too. We're going to go for a wander soon, have a shower and look around and catch up with some friends too. So, first day in LA and the hustle and bustle of New York is gone, and now it's hot, very hot. I'm sweating already. So, the LA adventure begins.
Yeah, there you go. Fateful words. The adventure begins after a shower and heading out for some breakfast. But before we had even left the backpackers, we met some girls from Denmark.
What's your names?
Jenny.
Rianni?
And Stine.
Stine, nice to meet you. So tell me about why are you in LA? Tell us about the trip.
We will only be staying here for 2 days, and then we will go to the Fiji Islands.
To Fiji?
Yeah, and then New Zealand, and 4 days in Australia, and then we'll go to Singapore and make the whole trip back to Bangkok.
So how long is the trip all up?
6 months.
Wow. And what do you guys do back in Denmark? Are you for work?
We graduated, yes, graduated last year, And we have work. I have work whole this year in a kindergarten.
Right. Okay. And so have you always wanted to travel around? Is that something that you want to do? Yeah.
I've been working nearly a year in Norway.
In Norway?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just barely money for it. So.
Always fun catching up with fellow travellers, and this is funny. Back in the day, 2002, you needed to use payphones to catch up with my friend Vinny.
Hey Vinny, it's Andrew. Pretty good, mate. Safe and sound in LA. What are you doing this morning? Yeah, who's playing? Yeah, I was just ringing up about, what are you hearing about midday?
So midday was the time that Vinny, an actor in LA, was going to come to the Backpackers and pick us up. I'd met Vinny in 2000, actually on the set of a movie called Without Charlie. My girlfriend at the time was had a role in that film, but he came to pick us up. We jumped in the car and started filming.
This is the Sunset Strip?
Yeah, this is Sunset Boulevard, but the strip really starts a little down further. I mean, this is still the strip.
Where's this?
It is Wolfgang Park.
Yes.
There's my movie, look. Night at the Golden Eagle.
Ah, there you go.
See the sign on the side there?
Yeah.
I told them they should put a big picture of me and my name, but they didn't go for it. When I was in the clothing business, this is where I had my men's stop. See where it says Bookstore, Bootstore, and Boxes and More? That was my men's shop. And back there was my office and shoe store.
And how long did you have the store there for again?
Oh, from 69 to 80.
Yeah.
And that's where I met everybody. Elvis, the Beatles, Rolling Stones, you name it.
Yeah.
Steve McQueen, Frank Sinatra, Al Pacino, and everybody came. It's a great corner because you have parking in the back. If you have parking in LA, go. Yeah. This is what it's like on the Gold Coast? I mean, palm trees?
Not yet. Yeah, you know, there's certain areas of where we live that's a little bit like this, but not so big.
Nice bet.
So we're on our way into Beverly Hills to have a slice of pizza, and at the time, Richie, who owns the pizzeria, was married to Raquel Welsh, and Vinny had some stories.
I hope Richie's here. You get a kick out of Richie. He's funny.
That'd be cool.
Richie was in a movie with, you were speaking about Eddie Murphy. He did a movie with Eddie Murphy. He did one scene. He was a cab driver in The Clumps. You know,
yeah.
What's his name?
Nutty
Part
Professor
2.
2.
Yeah, Nutty Professor 2. So they tell him, they said, listen, Richie, whatever you do, don't speak to Mr. Murphy. Nobody speaks to Mr. Murphy. So he says, okay. They said, don't forget now. He says, I got it. Nobody talks to Mr. Murphy, right? So Murphy gets in the cab, he sits down, Richie turns around and says, I'm going to steal this scene from you. You know that, right? And Murphy just cracks right up.
Oh, that's cool.
They said, what did we tell you? Eddie Murphy says, get out of here.
So we arrived, parked out the back, and then made our way through to Mulberry Street Pizzeria on Cannon in Beverly Hills. It's a great spot if you're ever in town. And before we could even have a slice of pizza, the world's first supermodel, Janice Dickinson, walked by, and this happened.
I have no makeup. I'm here to dispel all the bullshit about what makeup does to supermodels and what makeup does to celebrities.
Now, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? Just tell me a little bit about you. And I understand that when you first got into modeling, that you actually were told that you might not be able to have a career. Is that right?
That's a fact. I started modeling back in the late 70s, of the Jurassic era of models. I'm 47 years old. I come from Brooklyn, New York.
Wow.
It was hard for me to get arrested in the beginning because all the girls were looking like Cheryl Tiegs and Christy Brinkley. Blonde hair, right? Blonde hair, blue eyes. You know, your average Australian or California surfer babe type chick. Well, clearly I'm not. I'm ethnic, exotic, and I'm not your Miss Apple Pie girl next door. So when I was knocking on the doors of all the modeling agencies in the city, they were all slamming the doors in my face saying, no, you'll never make it. Which was also, if you read my book, No Lifeguard on Duty, Reagan Books, imprint of HarperCollins, you'll find that my book is a cautionary tale of incest, sex, drugs, rock and roll, which in the book, the whole premise of my book was my father kept telling me that I would never make it and that I would never be good enough. He was also a pedophile and a rageaholic, and I was beaten on a daily basis, and he was molesting my older sister Alexis. So I wrote this book to enable any young child to come out of the closet of secrets, because my secrets led me to a lifetime of excessive behavior in sex, drugs, rock and roll.
Yeah, definitely a random moment when she walked by, and sounds like a fascinating book, but I thought it would be a great chance after we had some pizza to sit down and film a chat with Vinny and find out about when he came out to LA.
I came in '66, I never left.
What's the sort of things about this place that make it special for you?
Well, one of the things that make it special is the weather, because it's always so pleasant, and you never have to really wear anything really heavy all year round. And the first time I went to New York, after 6 months being here, I went back for Christmas. I stepped out of a cab and right into a pile of slush, which is melted snow. And I said, now I know why I left. And you know, I love the greatest thing I find about LA, and I tell this to anybody, no matter where I go in the world, and no matter how great it is, either Aspen or Mexico or Paris or Rome and everything, when you have to come home to LA, you don't mind. You know what I mean? It would be like you going back to the Gold Coast. You know what I mean? No matter where you go in the world, there's still nothing beats it, because everything wrapped up together, it's like the place I want to be.
Vinny was a latecomer into the acting business, so I wanted to ask him how he got into it.
In my business, I met all show business people, because it was on Sunset Strip, like I showed you. And a lot of show business people became friends. And one of my best friends was a guy named Sonny Bono, Sonny and Cher. And Sonny said, you know, why don't you become an actor? He said, I know you're a ham, you know, you love to tell jokes and all that.
When he first said that to you, what was going through your mind?
Well, I had kind of was thinking about it, and what happened was I was in New York buying on a buying trip for my clothing store, and he was doing a movie of the week, and he put me in as an extra, and I got such a rush that I said, you know, I think I am going to take acting classes, because I had been thinking about it.
Next up was a quick chat with Richie and finding out a little about his story.
From New York, been here 12 years. It's a gay pizza shop now. Been here 12 years. It's the best pizza in the world.
And what do you prefer, being back home in New York or out here?
No. I love it out here. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people miss New York and love New York. If I never went back to New York again, it wouldn't bother me at all. I'm a Beverly Hills guy now.
Okay. Was it always something that you wanted to get into, or doing pizza?
No, to tell you the truth, I came out here to be an actor. I studied acting in New York. And then I kind of lost interest in that, so we opened this up.
It's a super great spot if you're ever in Beverly Hills, and as far as star spotting, there's always someone popping in, but for now, it was time to wrap up with Richie.
I never fucked Janice Dickinson. I did not fuck
I deny
Janice
everything.
Dickinson.
I deny everything.
I never fucked this one. Blew me a couple times. No, I'm kidding. That's all I need.
So a fun morning in Beverly Hills, and it was back to Vinny's in West Hollywood, where you never know what good fortune can come in the mail.
Money just comes
We have
rolling in.
an exclusive thing here talking about, you know, Hollywood and acting and the multi-million-dollar contracts that go around, you know. $20 million per film, and Vinny, you just got your mail this morning.
I just got a residual check from Walt Disney for $6.97, of which they took out tax.
Wow.
The check is for $4.08. And this was for looping on Die Hard 3.
Wow.
You see? So the money just
keeps
rolls
coming in.
Just
Yeah,
goes
I mean,
to
that's
the mailbox, and there it is.
That's a slice of pizza and a drink.
Yeah. Almost.
So at this point it was about 3 p.m, and to be honest, Dale and I were absolutely exhausted, but we decided to go for a walk up onto the Sunset Strip and do a little bit of filming and see what's up there, and we stopped for a coffee at a cafe. I turned around and saw one of my favourite actors, couldn't believe it, and asked him if we could film a chat, and this happened.
So how did you get your sort of impulse to want to do this? Did you make films back in Australia?
I've been writing scripts for the last couple of years pretty poorly. Smoked way too much pot and didn't focus on anything, so
that'll do it.
It's just been a matter of turning it around. So I started this idea as a magazine actually, called Edge magazine.
Oh, cool.
And but the actual logistics of putting it together and selling it, everyone was saying it's going to be impossible. So I thought, well, I'll just take the simplest way, which is myself and a camera, and make it as a TV show.
I think it's a great idea.
And if you make it about people, then it's the people that tell the stories. You know?
Yeah, always.
I feel blessed just asking. You right to go? Alright, so we're here on our first day in LA. We've just been in Beverly Hills and now we're up in, is it North Hollywood?
This is actually West Hollywood. Yeah,
West
this is West Hollywood, which just became its own city a couple of years ago. LA is like about 70 different, it's like, I think it was Fred Allen or somebody said that LA is like 70 suburbs looking for a city, you know, because there's no real sort of center here like there is in every great city, you know, so, I mean, there's downtown, but nobody goes downtown, so West Hollywood became its own city, and it's really pretty nice. I mean, they've done a nice job sort of cleaning it up and making it better.
And this is James Woods, which just blows me away, who's a fantastic actor, been in some amazing films.
Thanks. I was just sitting here having a
and we bugged him, and look what happens.
Kidnap me.
Yeah. Are you living your dream? Is this something you always wanted to do, to be an actor? And
well, I always wanted to be a theater actor, but I never imagined being a movie actor because I was never sort of a good-looking guy like you. I was just sort of like a regular average Joe, and I used to just do theater for fun. I mean, when I was in college, and then I really enjoyed it so much. I thought, well, I'll just give it a try, but it's not too likely. And then the next thing I knew, you know, theater was going well, and I tried out for a movie, and I got the part, and you know, I lucked out, did a couple of TV shows, and just sort of kind of worked my way up through the ranks to get a career. So, and now I love it. I mean, it's a great life. You know, there's what's not to love.
Yeah.
You know?
In those times when you sort of had those thoughts going through whether you were going to be right for film,
right.
Was there any times you're almost going to give it up?
Well, I made one promise to myself. I said that if I went to New York with about, I mean, this is 30 years. In fact, I'll tell you exactly when it was. It's 33 years ago. September 5th. Okay, so I was a kid, and I went to New York, and I had like $300 in my pocket.
Yeah.
You know, my rent was like $28 a month, and I said, if I ever take another job besides acting, I'm going to quit the business. And I've never taken another job since. I mean, I had some lean months there, but about 2 months after, I got a job in the theater, and then I got into a play that happened to be a hit. It turned out, and I mean, I was only getting 100 and something a week, but you know, in those days, that was, you know, I could live on that easily. I just had some little one-room apartment, and, you know, struggled, but those were great years, you know. They were great years sort of struggling, just barely sort of living hand to mouth, you know.
What do you know about Australia? Have you been out there?
You know, I've never been there, and I've always wanted to be, because, you know, I know Russell Crowe, and I know, you know, Nicole Kidman, and, you know, I know a lot of people from there, and I've talked to people from there, and they always say it's just great and very, you know, everybody's kind of cool and very equal, and, you know, it's very, in fact, I was offered to shoot a film there, just recently, but it's going to interfere with my shooting Giuliani. I'm playing, you know, Rudy Giuliani, the mayor of New York, in a movie soon. So I couldn't do them both, and I wanted to because everybody says it's just gorgeous there, and the people are great. I mean, I'm not just saying this because you're from Australia. Everybody says, you know, they say that women are the most beautiful women on earth. So that's always a good thing. You know, what's not to like?
So that was a pretty awesome moment. What a great guy James Woods is. Then we went back to Vinny's house. We actually showed him the interview. He couldn't believe it. And we agreed to watch the fight. Vinny said there was a place showing it just up the road, so we went up there and we checked it out.
Alright, so we're at Dublin's on Sunset. It's 8:10.
Almost fight time.
Almost fight time. We're here with Vinny. We're about to watch Fernando Vargas and Oscar De La Hoya. Big crowd. We paid our $10 to get in. We got our, what is this, Irish beer?
This is Newcastle Brown Ale.
Beautiful. And who you tipping? Who's your tip?
My tip? De La Hoya. 11th round.
It'd be good to see that too.
And that's the great thing about YouTube. I recommend you go on there and Google De La Hoya Vargas, one of the great fights. And like Vinny predicted, in the 11th, this happened.
This would be the most satisfying moment of Oscar De La Hoya's career if he could finish this guy. If he could make Fernando Vargas eat his words. If he could knock him out, and he does. Oscar De La Hoya has the most satisfying, the richest, the biggest, the most emotional win of his whole career.
Great fight, and no, we didn't celebrate at the Body Shop, which just happened to be on the corner of Vinny's Street, but we went back to Vinny's, where he gave a play-by-play to one of his friends.
Well, he got kicked too. His nose was bleeding, De La Hoya and shit. You know, for the first 6 rounds, it was even. They would take a round apiece, and the kid is much stronger than fucking Oscar, much stronger. Yeah, but it looked like, when was it, the 10th round? He came out, De La Hoya, no, the 9th. Yeah, no. After taking 2 rounds, a 2-round lead, he went into that thing with like Trinidad again, running away, covering up, and we were saying, what the fuck happened? He just looked so good the last round. But then the fucking 10th, He went back again, ba-boom, and then the 11th he came out. He really went to work on him. It was exciting though, you know, 'cause they both landed good blows. They both bleeding from the eye. What's his name was bleeding under his eye, top of his head. What's his name? His nose was fucking bleeding and getting in his mouth and stuff. Well, it was a good, exciting fight. Fucking crowd was nuts. This fucking place up here is fucking packed. Yeah, Dublin, forget about it.
So there you go, a crazy, fun adventure. You can only imagine how tired we were at the end of the night when Vinny dropped us back to the hostel. But like New York, we spent a few days going around filming with all kinds of people about their stories and their recollections of September 11th, and it was truly fascinating. But it wasn't until about 10 years later almost I saw this band come out of LA, LMFAO, and they had a couple of big hits, and I thought, man, that guy looks familiar. And then I remembered when we did the interview with James Woods on that day, the 14th, he actually walked by. Since then, he's obviously become a superstar, lots of music hits coming out to Australia, but we ended up filming at the same cafe and recording this.
What's your sort of story here in LA?
Well, I've been born and raised here, and I'm doing my best to just get to the top. That's my new thing right now, and I'm doing some stand-up comedy. I'm doing some music. I'm doing some rapping. But for the first time in my life, I'm trying to just build myself and become the star. I always used to try to build other people and tell them little philosophies. You should do it like this, da-da-da. But now I'm just directing all that stuff to me.
So there it is, one crazy day in LA, part of a crazy trip where we took off from the Gold Coast and really had no idea what to expect. It just all unfolded, and that's the beauty of it. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.